Hey, it's Brock here with Uncommon Aquatics, and we got some major changes happening in the fish room today. A lot of stuff I'm excited about. We're going to do an update on several of the aquariums. A lot of you guys have been wondering about the Discus. There have been some big problems and big changes in the 210 gallon. We're doing a new setup in this 125. Just a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. After all the updates and all the changes are made, I'm setting up 2 new aquarium setups. And in this box, we've got about 15 bags with about 70 fish in them that are going in those new tanks. Pretty cool things that are different, considerably different than anything else I've got going on. But I think the first thing I want to talk about is this 110 gallon acrylic. I made a little bit of a stir on YouTube by saying I was going to keep Discus in this tank and not do water changes. And, you know, everyone knows the story with Discus is that they're a little bit more difficult to keep than some other fish, and you have to do a lot of frequent water changes. Now, I will say that these Discus do not like me being active next to the tank. If I sit across the room, they'll be active. But anytime I walk over here or bring the camera, they get right into the corners of the tank. You can see on that front glass how scratched up the aquarium is. It's acrylic and I couldn't buff those out. So this tank, the water always looks hazy. But also, I've got a lot of catappa leaves in here. Tons and tons of these leaves, which make it almost a black water tank. This water is yellow on purpose. This mulm is in here on purpose. This thick substrate, it's part of the system that, to me, makes it possible to keep these Discus with minimal maintenance. So there are 6 Discus in here. They're just hiding. Okay, we've got that orange one back there. Got a couple of blues. We've got a red. I wish they would all come out for the video. You can also see I've got a bunch of super red plecos, bristlenose in here, and a bunch of albino cories. We've got these little plants are growing and doing great. This Sagittarius, dwarf sag, is spreading. It's going to carpet and it's already doing it. So I would say, other than this Anubias right here had some melt and die back. Most of the leaves are gone, but it has a new leaf, and you can see that there's a brand new leaf coming up today on this Anubias. All the sword plants are looking good, and this tank's been set up for about a month. I did a water change, couple water changes the first day and the second day that I had it, which was really to get some of the sand dust out and just kind of clarify that. But then since the tank's been set up, I have not done a water change. Next tank we're going to be working on is this one here. This is going to be my new setup that I'm excited about. It's getting a different kind of stocking than anything I've kept before. Now what this has been, what I wanted this to be, was an Aquara breeding tank. And you can see it's got all these plants spreading too. I just put a few of these in here and they're going crazy. All those Amazon sword plants were picked off of this mother sword right here, and they've spread like crazy. And all these plants are doing really well, other than this hornwort that has gotten picked apart. But I've got these in here and they're not breeding for me, even though I believe that they want to be a breeding pair. Sometimes a changing environment will do that. So that breeding pair of Aquaras today is being moved out, and those are being moved up here. And this will be the breeding tank for the Aquara. And this angelfish was repeatedly laying eggs up here, but every time they laid eggs, something happened and I lost the eggs, or I lost the fry. So I was confident I was going to get some baby angelfish out of here, but then just randomly, the other angelfish that was in here died. So I lost that fish. So this angelfish is going in this tank with all of these angels. This tank has got Bolivian rams in it. It's got mollies in it. It's got geophagus, lots of geophagus, lots of angelfish in this tank. There's a Brochardi cichlid. So we're adding another angelfish to this. This tank needs a lot more plants in it too. This Anubias is really thriving. It just had a few leaves when I put it in there. But maybe let's go ahead and feed this tank. We'll do some cichlid pellets. This one also has yo-yo loaches. We'll go ahead and do some flake food too. In the fish room, this is the tank I've had the longest. There's a different type of geophagus. Mollies, yo-yo loaches. This one ended up being a mixed tank. There's a natural blue acara. There's a lot of variety in here. I'm going to be redoing this. I think this tank is going to be severums, angelfish and severums. But let's go back over where we started. We're working around the fish room. We've got this one that's getting a new setup. I'm really excited about the type of setup that's going in here. That's what the fish in the box are for. This one needs an algae cleaning, but I've got all these koi that are going to be in here probably another month, and then they're going back outside into the big koi pond. Then this tank is getting a rescape, and I need to choose a type of fish to keep in this aquarium. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I've considered bass and red-eared sunfish and catfish, like local cold water native species that I can grow up and put in the farm pond. Down here I have a convex cichlid and a polar blue, a platinum polar parrot cichlid, and they've had babies down here. We got all these little fry swimming around. Up here are my Tropheus dubois. There are 5 of them. I'm growing those out. These will be a breeding pair. So this will be a breeding tank for the Tropheus, and this will be a breeding tank for the blue acara. And this tank always seems dark because I moved a couple of the lights off of it. I need to get more lights for this tank. It just has 2 cheap Walmart lights. And then there's a full carpet of water lettuce, and that prevents you from seeing what's in here. But this tank has my monsters. The arowana is about 14 inches now. This vieja is getting big. Of course, we got the African clawed frog. And this guy right here, he's currently the tank boss. That's my electric blue Carpentus cichlid. He's an absolute beast. I got this guy when he was the size of my fingernail. I don't know, 6 months ago? Not even that, probably 3 months ago. And he's really blowing up. And this is the second leader in command. This is my Midas. Both of those have the nuchal hump, and they're both trying to be the boss in here. You see my Jack Dempsey there. Here you have the Green Terror. We got a parrot. That's a Vieja Sinspillum. Here's a jaguar. We've got an Oscar. That is a threadfin acara. Then we've got a few severums, ropefish, and there are a bunch of large bichers in here. There's one. That guy, I got him when he was tiny, tiny, like a toothpick. And he's already about a foot long. Let's feed these guys. All right, so I just sit here and kind of slow drop them in, and they go crazy for it. If you stick your finger in there, the arowana will bite your finger. These guys are little pigs. They stuff themselves until their bellies are mounded and rounded, and they're growing like crazy. But the result is that these guys are such aggressive feeders that to get food to the bichers, I have to overfeed the whole aquarium, which is not what I want to do. But it's the only way to get food to them. Because these guys will stuff themselves till they can't get any more in their mouths, and then these guys will be able to eat. Oh, there's a ropefish getting some. This guy came right after it today. I've got actually 5 bichers in here and 4 ropefish, so there are 9 polypterus. I love the activity from these guys. I love watching them eat. Very cool prehistoric type fish. I said this guy is growing so fast. And there's the Ansorgi bichir. Here's the Senegalus. I've got 3 Senegalus, 1 albino and 2 standard. So every bit of that will get eaten up. There's a Monte Cristo cichlid. Here's the Vieja that got torn up in the other tank and is healed up beautifully. Look at those awesome colors on that Vieja. All right, next we're coming over to my African cichlid tank. And this is one of my favorite scapes. I really think it turned out good. All of these are stones out of my yard. And, you know, I don't know how it looks on camera. I never think it does it justice, how proud I am of the way this turned out. These are all African cichlids except for this guy, who's a green Texas cichlid. He's being grown out to go in the 210 gallon we were just looking at. But he's going to have to do a lot of growing to ever be able to hang in that tank. All right, these guys are very active feeders. I love watching them. These are such hardy fish. They're so active and they're so colorful. It really is a joy to watch them. Also in the bag, I've got an algae eater that's going to be in this aquarium. There's also 2 catfish already in here, but you're not going to see them because they won't come out. But there's a strawberry Synodontis and a Japanese bumblebee catfish. Oh, there's that bumblebee. He doesn't like to come out, but he's a cool guy. I don't know how they eat, because ideally at night they would come out and scavenge food after everyone else has chilled out, but these guys aren't going to leave any food for him to find in the middle of the night. They're also fun to feed flake food too, because there's so many little pieces with flake food and they chase each little piece around. I really love that sulfur head. Just a beautiful fish. And of course the parrot is not an African cichlid, and neither is the polar blue. But I just think these guys are a better fit in this tank. I also think that convict and that platinum would be a good fit in this tank. They'd do better with the Africans, but they're constantly trying to breed, even if they're the only one of their kind in there. Here we've got the Venustus. This is an open aquarium. This was my African cichlid tank. Now it's a fully cycled but empty tank, and I have fish in the styrofoam box for it. Next we have my microfauna tanks. This one has got to be 100 shrimp in it. They're just everywhere. Red Sakura shrimp. They're breeding and breeding and breeding. I need to clean this out, take about half of the plants out, but I got to do it carefully so I don't take the shrimp with it. Same thing in here. This one's full of scuds and these little yellow shrimp. There's a scud. There's a shrimp. Lots of activity in there. This one, I put some green water in and it always stays green ever since. Even though there's a bunch of shrimp in here, and this one has a bunch of blue shrimp in it. So I've got 4 colors of shrimp in these 4 tanks. And last, but definitely not least, is my 55-gallon father fish aquarium. Now this tank, some of these need a little bit of love. They need some of the plants removed. I've got too much plants. It's blocking the light from getting down to these. But I mean, look at this. This is absolutely carpeting down here. I only put a few pieces of that, and it's just spread across the entirety of the tank. You can see the roots come all the way down here. And these plants are thriving. The fish are thriving. These platies have a bunch of babies in here. We've got little baby platies all over the place. I think there are like 6 or 7 bristlenose pleco in here. There are red sakura shrimp. There are snails all over the place. I love this aquarium, and this was set up using the father fish method. Because there are so much plants at the top, no light from these is penetrating down to these plants. So I've got this light here that I'm using to supplement. I just need to thin these plants out, but I've got that light on there to supplement. And look at all that plant growth. This aquarium has never had a water change. It just doesn't need water changes because there's so much plant growth happening. Okay, so as soon as I shut this camera off, I'm moving the angelfish to here, the Acara to the angelfish tank, and I'm putting fish in these other two new tanks. And I want your guesses as to what the new fish are. This tank is something very unconventional that you don't see many people on YouTube keeping. It's a different type of aquarium. This is going to be commonly available fish, but I think I've got a unique way of stocking them that's going to make this tank unique as well. So as always, I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.